The conventional way to make a pitch is, here is the problem and here is the solution. It's conventional, but it's not unique. We all know that today's problem comes from past solution, and in every complicated situation, there is a limiting belief that prevents us to build the future that we would like to create. Every powerful pitch needs to be built on these two main ideas. What if you have a tool that guides you step by step to build this powerful pitch? In this video, I will present a step-by-step tool made of 6 steps, which I call PLOTTI, to help you to build a powerful pitch, not just to convince a stakeholder, but to lead him step by step to be eager to participate in the future you are willing to create. This tool has an acronym of PLOTTI: P for initial promise, L for loss, O for opposite outcome, T for the truth revealed, and the second T is for transcendent future. The last one is I for invitation. If you are new to this channel, would you subscribe? And if this video resonates with you, would you share it with someone who is willing to fund a great idea or initiate a great project? If you identified a situation where today's problem comes from the past solution, you already have the starting point. You need to go further. You need to identify the limiting belief that prevents you to create the future you would like to build. When you identify these two main points, you could build a great story and invite stakeholders to contribute to what comes next. To structure that story, you can use PLOTTI tools made of 6 steps. Now let's start with the first step. P. Promise. Begin with the legitimate value the current system was meant to create. A reporting system was meant to create visibility. A control system was meant to create more risk prevention. A digital platform was meant to create more collaboration. Before creating what exists, remind stakeholder why it was created, because every stakeholder will ask these questions. What valuable promise was the current approach originally meant to fulfill? Let's go further to the next step about loss. You need to show how the organization gradually moved away from the promised solution, because the promise rarely disappears suddenly. Tools proliferate and employees become saved in the system instead of the promised outcome. Stakeholder will always ask, when and how did the original promise begin to disappear? The purpose of this step is to create deterioration and tension and not reveal too early what was the problem. Now we will talk about the opposite outcome. You need to take the situation to its deepest contradiction. How the situation was changed to create the opposite of the outcome. It is the core problem. The reporting system created to improve visibility makes essential information harder to see. The controls introduced to reduce risk encourage people to conceal problems. The tools intended to connect teams fragment their communication. Behind this, stakeholder will ask, how is the current approach creating the very outcome it was meant to prevent? A powerful formulation is, we create X to produce Y. Now X is undermining Y, or producing exactly the opposite of the Y. When we understand the core problem, it's time to reveal the truth, which is the next step. Now comes the time to reveal the limiting belief that prevents us to create the opposite of the outcome. Perhaps we believe that more information always creates more visibility, that more control always reduces risk, that more technology always improves collaboration. At this step, stakeholders will always ask this question. What belief appeared reasonable at the beginning but can no longer explain the reality we face? Present it as an incomplete belief rather than an accusation, because that belief was not necessarily foolish. It was useful at that time, but now things are changing, and this belief is no longer enabling. This produces the stories inside. The visible problem is caused by an invisible belief, which lead us to the future we would like to create, the transcendent future. At this step, don't move directly to the solution you would like to propose. Identify what is the enabling belief, the new one that will help us greatly. What if visibility does not come from more information, but from few information organized to help make decision early? What if safety does not come from controlling system, but creating capabilities and situation where everyone feels confident to discuss openly about any risk? At this step, stakeholder will always ask, what is the new belief that will help us to build the new future, and what the future becomes possible when we act from this new belief? The future needs to transcend the original situation instead of repairing it. At this step, stakeholder will be eager to contribute to this future. Now comes invitation. Avoid ending with, here is the solution, we need you to approve it. Instead, suggest something like, we need to take this solution and we need you to fund 2 to 3 weeks to test it. You can help us to create environment in which risk is openly discussed. To do so, we need to initiate a project, because at this step, every stakeholder will ask this question. What meaningful role can I play in this story that no one could play it in the same way? You can help us create an environment in which every employee feel confident to discuss openly about risks. Your experience can help us to prevent the system to work on the ancient assumption that created the problem. Then make a specific request. We are asking you to fund 2 to 3 weeks to test the solution. The invitation turns stakeholder from audience evaluating your project to eagerly engaged stakeholder to contribute to the future we are willing to create. Now let's recap. We all know that today's problem comes from past solution, and behind any complicated situation there is a limiting belief. Every powerful pitch needs to be created based on these two main points. PLOTTI tool will guide you step by step to do so and create a powerful pitch. P for promise, L for loss, O for the opposite of the outcome, T for the truth revealed, second T for the transcendent future, and I for invitation. Now think about your great idea you would like to fund, your projects you would like to initiate, the change or any initiative you would like to create. Ask yourself, what was the original promise? How was it gradually lost? And how this situation is now creating the opposite of the outcome that was created to prevent, or that was created to build. Don't look for the solution yet. Look for the limiting belief behind the contradiction. The limiting belief is where your great story, your great project could start. Thank you so much for your attention.